Okay, so our last lesson, we learned how to diagram with intransitive and transitive verbs. Today we're going to continue diagramming with linking verbs and ditransitive verbs being verbs that have both a direct object and an indirect object. So linking verbs, as we did in our review of types of verbs, have a predicate nominative or predicate adjective, both known as subject complements. And they're basically a state of being. Remember, they act as an equal sign. They're just saying something is something else. So diagramming starts off as it always does. You begin by drawing a horizontal line and put your subject on the left side. You then draw a vertical line that transects the horizontal line, indicating end of subject, beginning of my complete predicate. You put the linking verb to the right of the vertical line. Now here's where it's different from doing a direct object. You put your subject complement on the far right end of the line as you would a direct object, but this right here is leaning, okay, and it leans back towards the subject of the linking verb. Basically, it's pointing from the subject complement back, saying these two items are being linked. This is the only time you're going to have a diagonal line on top of your horizontal line, is when you have some sort of a complement, whether that's subject or object complement. But in this case, it comes right after the linking verb. And then your final step is to add any modifiers on diagonal lines beneath the word that they modify. My examples here, I am teacher, I equals teacher, A is a modifier. The boy seemed nervous, boy is your subject, seemed is saying he equals nervous, this is a predicate adjective. This would be a predicate nominative, by the way, teacher. And the, just to point out again, is the initial word in the sentence, so it's always going to be capitalized if it was first. Now, roses smell good. Remember, we reviewed the sensory verbs, because right here I'm just creating a state for roses, saying roses equal good. Sensory verbs can also be intransitive or even transitive verbs. For example, if I were to say, lady smelled roses, the being a modifier for her and the for roses, I'm saying she is doing this to the roses. So make sure that if it is a linking verb, you have the leaning line where it's a state of being, but double check that it is not actually an action being done to something else, in which case it would be a transitive verb. Ditransitive verbs, as I mentioned earlier, have both a direct object and an indirect object. The indirect object is to or for whom or to or for what the direct object is going. So the action is being done to this and basically bouncing it to the indirect object. They're diagrammed pretty much the same as transitive verbs with just one more step. There should be a T at the end of that, my apologies. First line, of course, horizontal line, subject on the left side. Second one, vertical line transecting the horizontal line to indicate end of subject, beginning of complete predicate. Step 3, vertical line and your direct object. Remember, this vertical line stops at the horizontal line. That means end of my transitive verb or transitive verb phrase, beginning of my DO. Now here's where it's different. You add the indirect object beneath the verb. The reason being, it's basically how or where this is going. Because how and where are both adverb questions, it kind of acts like an adverb in creating that condition for the sentence. Again, because a cat is, or the direct object, indirect object rather, is always going to be a noun, it has to go on a horizontal line because nouns always go on horizontal lines unless they're acting as a modifier. If the part of speech it is acting as is a noun, got to go horizontal. And then finally, you add your modifiers underneath the word they're modifying. In this case, her modifies cat, and a modifies treat. Here are some examples for you guys to practice on your own. So get out a piece of paper. I'm going to stop talking for about 5 seconds. So you got to hit pause. When you're done diagramming these, go ahead and hit play again and I'll reveal the answers. Here's your hint, the longer sentences. So this one, and this one all have ditransitive verbs. The other 3 are linking verbs. Go ahead and give it a go. I will resume speaking in about 5 seconds. Okay, you should be done diagramming by now. Here are your answers. Boy gave flowers. Flowers is a direct object. He's giving them to his girlfriend. The, again capitalized, is an article modifying boy. His is a personal pronoun modifying girlfriend. Puppy is fuzzy. Puppy equals fuzzy. This is a predicate adjective or subject complement, whichever you prefer. That, capitalized, is modifying puppy. He felt proud. He equals proud, so linking verb. She sent letter. The letter is what is getting sent. It's to or for her father. So father is your indirect object, again on a horizontal line because it's a noun. And a is your article modifying letter, her personal pronoun modifying father. Chef made cake. Cake is what is getting made. It's for himself. The is the definite article modifying chef. A, indefinite article modifying cake. Chocolate, also describing the cake. And then finally, it tasted yummy. It equals yummy, so this would be a linking verb. Again, you have a predicate adjective, and it is pointing back to it. What you should do now is take the exit quiz until you ace it, get 100% on it. You can take it as many times as you want before the due date. Complete the exit survey if you see a link on Schoology. That way I can get better feedback for what we should do with class time. And if you find this confusing or you're struggling, don't hesitate to seek me out for help. I'm available for you. You can catch me in my classroom or shoot me an email, and we can set up a time to sit down and talk. Hope this has been useful and you learned something. Laird out.